her. Dr. R. Devipriya ma'am completed BE and ME in computer engineering field and finished PhD in the area of data mining. Her area of interest includes data warehousing and data mining and optimization techniques. She has published 34 papers in international journals and presented 18 papers in national and international conferences. She was invited to deliver speech on various topics such as machine learning approaches, soft computing, deep learning, optimization techniques, etc. She has worked on various consultancy projects related to her area. She gained 11 years of experience in teaching and 2 years in industry. We feel honored by your presence, ma'am. On the behalf of VCET and Department of Computer Science and Engineering, we once again welcome you, ma'am. Now, we request Dr. R. Devipriya ma'am to share your knowledge about augmented reality and virtual reality in healthcare and to move this session forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Subhatra ma'am, and the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. I think it's a cold morning. And we shall start the session.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in yesterday's session, I think you would have gained a good knowledge or basic insights about what is augmented reality and virtual reality. So in today's session, we are going to see how these technologies can be used in healthcare. Even though there are many applications of AR, VR, in this session, we are going to see how healthcare can be improved using these technologies. So let me share my presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am, thank you. Okay, so actually both terms augmented reality and virtual reality are closely related, but they do have some differences, basic differences in their usage. Can anybody say what is the difference between these two terms? I think from the yesterday session you would have gained understanding of these concepts. Can anybody say? Just we'll start with the session. Sorry, question. Yes, anybody? I'd be glad if, yes. Somebody wants to answer? If you're answering, then I'll be very happy to take up the session with the assumption that you all have understood the basic concepts of these terms. Yes, anybody?
Yes, ma'am. This is
Yes,
Gogul.
sir.
Hello, ma'am. Augmented reality is an interactive experience of a real-world environment where the objects that reside in the real world are enhanced by computer-generated perceptual information.
Okay. Virtual reality, sir?
Virtual reality means it's a result of using technology to superimpose the informations like sounds, images, text, etc. It's a combination of artificial intelligence platform.
So
both augmented reality and virtual reality acts as a bridge between the digital and the physical world.
Yes, sir. So today, in today's world, okay, so somebody else poem, virtual reality is not actually existing but gives a feel of existence. Exactly. So virtual reality means it just gives a virtual experience. We won't be available or present in the actual physical world of that situation or surrounding, but we will be having a feeling of being present in that environment. Whereas augmented reality is something different, which we'll see in this slide. First, let me tell you the differences between these two things, and later, if we see how it can be used in healthcare, I think it would be better for you. Augmented reality, it augments the real world scene. That's the main important thing. That means we will be involving in the real world environment, we will be interacting with the physical world systems, devices, and all those things. That means it gives a more clear picture, or it gives a more understanding of what exists, what is existing in the real world. That is augmented reality. For example, if you are seeing from here, and if you want to see, okay, for example, if a patient is in front of a doctor, and if the doctor wants to see whether there is a fracture in the leg or hand of a patient, he can see whether there is a fracture. So the inner details of the particular patient can be clearly seen using augmented reality. Whereas virtual reality means it is completely immersive virtual environment. We don't actually see what is there. We create an environment in which we can see what will be the actual scenario, or we can hear what are the things that are happening, and we can feel that as if we are in the actual system, but nothing is there. It is only an imaginary or virtual scenario. Whereas augmented reality means we will be involved in the actual physical environment. That's the main difference. And augmented reality user always have a sense of presence in the real world. Okay, doctor will be sitting in front of the patient, and patient will be in front of the doctor. They both will interact physically, and the feeling of your analysis, everything will be improved in terms of augmented reality. Whereas in virtual senses, you sense, feel, and hear all those things, but it is everything under control of the system. The virtual environment will be created, and you will have only that feel. And in AR, 25% is only virtual, and 75% you get immersed, or you see what is happening in the real world, right? And whereas virtual reality, only 75 percentage, sorry, mostly 75 percentage is virtual, and only 25 percentage you can see what is actually in the real world. And here, this partially immerses the user into the action. So you will be in the actual real world, and you will have a feel of immersing into the system, partial immersion. Whereas in virtual reality, you will be completely detached from the real world, and you will be taken to the imaginary virtual world. It fully immerses the user into the action. And AR requires only limit 100 Mbps bandwidth. Okay, whereas virtual reality, that environment at least a 50 Mbps connection. So that's the main thing. In virtual reality, you need more technologies. You need the complete virtual environment to be set up, right? And here in this case, in AR, no headset is needed. You can just use a glass or something. You can use a simple application, mobile application or laptop application to see what is happening. Whereas in virtual reality, definitely a headset device is needed to completely feel the virtual environment, and 360-degree images, 360-degree videos, and it is full of 3D, fully created 3D worlds. Okay, so all the images, videos, everything will be created as if they are present in the actual world. And here in AR, end users will be still in touch with the real world while interacting with the virtual objects nearer to them. They can talk to they talk to some person near to them, and they will use some devices, and still they can take part in the augmented reality system. Whereas in virtual reality, the user is completely isolated from the real world, and he is totally now in a fictional world. That is the main difference. And in AR, it enhances both real world and virtual world experience. In virtual reality, only virtual world. That is the main difference. I hope this gives you just a next step of understanding between these two terms. Okay. And let us see what are the advantages of both augmented reality and virtual reality, and then the challenges that we face in both these things. Okay, so I think somebody is unmuted. So Lavanya madam.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Lavanya madam, can you?
Okay, ma'am. Sorry,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
can you mute your mic?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you. Okay. So the advantages of augmented reality, it offers individualized learning. So each individual can learn himself. The environment is set up in front of you. For example, Google Class or something. So the environment is set up and you can learn individually. So that's the main thing. And it fosters the learning process, in the sense it enhances the learning process. For example, if you're a medical student, so you can clearly understand so the anatomy of a particular patient, so how the human body is organized, how are the parts implanted in our human body, everything can be learned easily. The learning process is clearly enhanced here. And augmented reality, again, it is used in wide variety of fields, not only in medical field, it is used in education, it is used in space research, or it can be used in games. Very well, it is used in games. You can see many applications, right? And it offers innovation and continuous improvement. Actually, it's only a new field, which is an emerging field, and many people are finding difficulties in adapting to the AR VR technologies because so much cost is involved, that we'll see in the next slide. But again, it offers more improvement. So we have continuous improvement facilities here, and it also increases accuracy. For example, if a doctor wants to fix a plate in hand of a particular patient, so it can be fixed accurately with the help of AR system. So it can clearly scan and tell you, so where is the muscle located, where is the bone located, so how much diameter. So all these things can be clearly seen by the eyes of a doctor, and he can clearly fix the particular organ or whatever it may be with more accuracy. And it increases user knowledge and information, and people can share experiences over long distances. For example, if I want to convey some topics, if I want to convey some knowledge to 100 or 500 people, it is very difficult to have all of them in front of me physically. But if I create an AR system which demonstrates all the internal process, it will be very easy, and our knowledge can be shared through the network, the AR system, to large number of people. And it also helps developers to build games that offer real experience. I think you would have played many games, so that gives you real experience. And whereas virtual reality, we have already discussed, it's an immersive learning, right? So we'll get into the system, and here also we can learn, but we'll get immersed into the entire virtual world, and in that virtual world we feel sense and learn all those things. And it creates an interactive environment also. Work capabilities are improved, offer convenience is provided to the users. And also it creates a realistic world so that the user can explore the world. For example, if you want to travel to Singapore, but imagine you cannot offer too much to go to Singapore, what happens? This virtual environment system can be created so that you can have a feel that if you are in Singapore, if you are entering into the airport, if you are into the particular seashore, so if you are into that park, how you will actually feel, how the environment looks like, everything can be created in front of your eyes, and you can see exactly how the system will be. And education is made more easy and comfortable, and it allows users to experience with an artificial environment. These are the main important advantages when you are using VR. And whenever we have some technologies, obviously it is associated with some challenges, right? So here, when you are using augmented reality, it is little bit expensive to implement and also to maintain. It is having some devices which are costly nowadays, and even now many people are investing, or many startups have developed new devices with low cost. So I think within 5 to 10 years, the cost of these AR VR devices will be very low, so that layman people or even the common people can buy. And lack of privacy, since all the data are stored in a public place and it is felt by everybody, so the privacy is lost to some extent. And low performance level of AR devices, some devices perform low, So that has to be taken care of, and it can cause mental health issues. I mean, even we use AR/VR to treat mental problems and health problems, but sometimes over usage of these technologies also cause mental health issues. For example, if you are completely in a virtual world, so imagine you will get detached out of the physical world, and your thoughts, your actions, everything will be in terms of only VR environment. So there are possibilities of some mental health issues also, that if we don't overreact and if we don't overdo, we can avoid. And lack of security, and again security threats are there. Extreme engagement with AI technology can lead to major health issues like eye problems, obesity. So this is not only with AR VR, it is with any technology, right? Even if you are using internet or laptop for a long time, obviously we'll have some eyesight problems. The same case here. In addition to the normal laptops or computer devices, we have some extra devices. So we have to use it in a limited way so that it doesn't affect us. And virtual reality, the programmers will never able to interact with virtual environments. Actually, programmers will control everything and they will never interact with the real environment, sorry, virtual environment. Only the users will be interacting there, right? And escapism is a common place among those that use VR environments. See, if in a medical college, imagine if 4 or 5 students are here, and if a particular student enters into the virtual reality world, he can escape from the real world and he doesn't have any interaction with the real world at the time when he is in the virtual world. So he can escape from the common scenarios. Again, that may create some problems, right? So escapism, concept of escapism. And training with the VR environment never has the same result as training and working in the real world. In the sense, so when we are training our virtual environment, so that would be different. It may give you 100% accuracy or 95% accuracy. But if you actually implement that in the real world, if you simulate the real world scenario in your virtual environment, in most of the cases it will not give you the exact accuracy that you have obtained during your training process. That means when we implement, it will be reduced. The performance can be reduced, not all the times, but sometimes it can be reduced to some extent. Okay, so these are the basic ideas about plus and minus of AR VR. Now we will see so which one would be better for our healthcare or any applications. Which one would you choose? So again, if that is the question, so while VR is more immersive, that means we will be completely into the virtual world, whereas AR provides more freedom. So if you need a total immersive situation, you can go for VR. Or if you need more freedom, that means the AR user has to interact with the physical devices or physical environment, the people near to them, everything. That means if he need more freedom with the environment, then he can go for augmented reality. Or if he needs complete immersive field, then he can go for virtual environment. And AR lets the user experience the real world, which has been digitally augmented. The real world situation will be there, but we are completely digitizing. Okay, so we are digitizing the real world scenarios or enhancing its look or views. Whereas in VR, it removes the user from the total world, replacing it with a completely simulated one. If we opt for this, if there is a demanding situation that we have to completely immerse in that situation, we can go for VR. Otherwise, we can go for AR. Right? So this is the choice decision. Okay. Now we'll see how this can be used in healthcare. So according to a recent statistics, it is to reach this about $5,000 million by 2023. So at this annual rate, so it is highly booming and it is going to rule the entire IT world, digital world. And in combination with computer vision and big data analysis. So AR cannot operate separately. AR VR technologies have to process data, have to use computer vision. That means it has to capture the images, it has to capture the videos. So computer vision is nothing but capturing and processing of images and audio, video, everything, right? So that has to be processed and it involves huge amount of data. So it already involves the processing of big data, data analytics, data science. In addition to all these things, AR and VR can improve the daily activities of doctors, patients, nurses, everybody in healthcare system. It also improves surgeons. It helps surgeons to do their surgery in an effective manner. For example, orthopedic surgery or your heart surgery, it can be any surgery. And dermatologists, the skin, for example, if a patient is having some skin problems, some rashes, so he can see how deep it has penetrated, so what is the treatment that can be given to them. And nurses, we will see how this can be used, right? Okay. So, and there are many technologies for healthcare, not only this AR VR, there are many technologies, and the major trends are now from analog to digital. Mostly all the analog technologies have been transformed to digital technologies and now used, and transformation from location based and time limited. So previously, for example, I want to check the blood pressure, or I want to monitor the heartbeat of a particular patient. It can be done only in the hospital, whereas now it is dynamic. So wherever you are, you can just wear the particular device, and your heartbeat, pressure, everything can be monitored 24/7, right? So we have wearable systems, ubiquitous computing, wearable computing devices. There are so many technologies, right? And again, patient focused. So the doctors can focus on individual patients. They can give individual care. So that can be possible by continuous monitoring of their patients. And patient themselves can take care of themselves. For example, they can use the AR VR devices to completely monitor their BP, heart rate, sugar level. Everything can be monitored using the devices, and it can alert the patients if something is beyond the control, if something is going up or down. And it can also alert the people, the family members, or even the doctors. And the emphasis on prevention and behavior change. So treatment of disease is something different, but before disease is occurring to a patient, it is better to prevent. Prevention is better than cure, right? So we can use AR VR systems to prevent the devices and also behavior change. And I think in the next session, Tamilchelvi madam will give you a practical experience demo of how this can be used for autism children. She is a very good friend of me, and she has worked in projects in, she is actually working, so she has good experience, and she is now working in augmented reality projects for treating autism children. So I think she will give you a better idea about practical experience of how the children should be the behavior, the mental issues, the health issues, that means physical and psychological behaviors, their changes, everything can be controlled and also improved by using AR VR systems. And so nowadays, almost all the medical devices are reinvented, right? So initially, when we want to check our fever temperature, body temperature, they will be using that syringe kind of thing, right? So this kind of thing. So whereas now they are just using a scanner. Just if we move our that thermometer or something, they have the sensor devices. Just in a fraction of second, it will sense your temperature, right? So even in this COVID-19 situation, it is very important. So because social distancing is very important, so, and again, we have to check the patients. We have to monitor the patient's body conditions. It is very useful. And see, traditionally we were using this device to measure that BP, whereas now just we are using the simple device which will report the changes in BP or all things. This is used to measure temperature. So all these things, right? Okay, so and the main applications of AR VR are pain relief. For example, if a patient is having some pain in leg or hand or eyes or ear, whatever it may be, so the intensity of pain can be felt. Okay, so in using AR system, that scanning system, so how long, so how deep the particular wound has occurred. So all those things can be monitored, and accordingly the medicines can be subscribed, or even when doing surgery, the instruments or medical devices can be operated without creating much pain on the patients. And this is again a new term here, but it has important impact here. What is empathy? Can anybody say what is mean by empathy? What is mean by empathy? Can anybody say what is empathy? Rest of the terms are technical terms, but empathy has a little difference. Okay, to have a similar feeling of other, exactly. When we are doing some harm to somebody, we don't put ourselves in their place, right? So if we are blaming somebody or if we are talking to somebody, we think only in our view. But if we see the situation, for example, if we are seeing a road accident, so what we will do, we'll move, somebody will go and help the people who are injured, or somebody will go if they are urgent, if they have some urgent work. Normally in current situation, most of the people are afraid of helping others. That's the main thing, right? So whereas if, oh, actually there is a difference between sympathy and empathy. It's a psychological thing, right? So empathy, Disney World creating VR movies, we can watch and feel. Okay, so actual difference between sympathy and empathy means, if somebody is injured, take a simple example. If somebody was injured in a road accident, okay, if you say cho power, okay, that means okay, somebody has occurred, so you just felt sorry for them and you leave the place. You just feel sorry, that's all. That is sympathy. Whereas empathy means you imagine yourself in the situation that you were injured. If you were injured, how will you feel the pain? Right? So that is called as empathy. Sympathy is not at all required now. Sympathy won't help anything, or it won't help anybody to improve the situation. Whereas if you have empathy, so that will put yourself in that emergency situation or critical situation, and then you will decide, if you are in a situation, how will you react. So then obviously you will try to help others, right? So if a patient is crying out of pain, and if the doctor is able to feel how actually he feels, I mean, if he put himself into the situation of a patient, then the pain of his patient could be felt by him, so that he can accordingly change his decision or therapies or anything. So empathy is a very important thing, not only in healthcare or anything, in our real world day-to-day activities. Sympathy is something which won't help. Okay, because we feel sorry for everybody. If there is a cyclone, we just feel sorry and we don't help anybody. But if we have empathy, obviously, then we will try to help out somebody, which can improve the situation, right? Which can improve the humanity in us, which tries to bring out the humanity in us. And even empathy can be improved or brought out with the help of AR/VR applications. Because when we are into that virtual world, obviously we can feel the feeling of others, right? And rehabilitation, and this is a process of recovery. And in the next session, Tamil Chelvi madam will discuss about the cognitive rehabilitation of autism children. Okay, so you'll get a better idea in this topic in the next session. And next, assisted daily living. So our daily living, we are going to hospital, we are taking care of elder persons in our home. Okay, so we leave elder persons in home and we'll be going to office. So we'll be afraid of how they will be in, whether they have taken the medicines, so whether their BP, heartbeat is, everything is under control. So the daily living activities can be controlled here. And virtual surgeries can also be seen, augmented senses, oncology. So what is oncology? Again, it may be familiar, but oncology, so what is that? Can anybody tell me what is oncology? Okay, cancer related treatment. Oncology means study of different types of cancer. And if you go to any hospital, there will be a department called oncology. Okay, that means for treating cancer patients. And mental health, this is related to psychology, right? So all these can be improved using AR/VR applications. And this is actually the basic architecture of digital health platforms help in this analysis and patient treating. So here, see, first patient facing some applications. So that means patients will be using some wearable devices, or they will be having some sensors. So that SDK stands for software development kit, right? So for example, you are having some wearable devices. Some watch will be monitoring your temperature, your body heartbeat, your cardiac workout. So all those things. These application kits will monitor your body activities, like it will assess you, it will send you reminder, okay, morning 9 o'clock, it's time for you to have this much calories of food. Then badges, interventions, graphical, so all those kinds of digital interaction with the patients. Next, from the patient, data will be move to the mobile backend. Okay, so maybe it may be a mobile phone, or it may be any mobile device. So in that, it can have the access codes, user authentication, device management. So all those applications can be here. So when you are developing an AR VR application, obviously you have to take care that all these technologies or all these functionalities should be incorporated in your device, right? And this mobile process your input, and it will send message, or it will alert, or it will send signal to the analytics process. So that means it collects data, it processes data. That means it collects data, pre-process, or do something on base data, and it alerts or it sends message for data analysis. Okay, so on that you have to track the data, RT analytics, content store, all those things should be done, and finally the report have to be generated out of that analysis, and that can be presented in the form of dashboards. And dashboards, what do you mean by dashboards? Dashboards are nothing but your graphical displays. It can be a bar chart, pie chart, it can be a table, it can be a line graph, scatter plots. Okay, so that means visually representing some statistical analysis or some results. For example, if your heartbeat is increasing, you can see a meter, right? In our vehicles, we have a speedometer and all, no? So likewise, if your heartbeat is rising, that speedometer kind of thing will show you it is rising, it is reducing. So these interactive reports are called as actually dashboards, and this can be seen by using wearable sensors. Wearable sensors, it will do all these things. See, this is about data storage. So how the data is stored. So it can be on transactions. Just transactions will store the data into records, or real-time event store, data warehouse. So these are technical terms, but this is how the digital world is transforming the entire health care facilities, right? Okay. So if we are into medical VR system, so there are normally three entities involved, right? So computer, human. So, and in between we have a human computer interface. So there is a user here. This computer will have a rendering machine. So again, in the computer, we would have already stored the computer models, right? So we would have created that virtual environment by using some geometrical things or physical things or whatever it may be. That virtual world would have been created using some computerized algorithms and models, and that will be rendered to the interface. Okay, that will be processed, and it will be connected to the interface, which has some graphical displays. And in the interface also we have some technical concepts involved, right? So it has audio interfaces, video interfaces, that environment setup, okay, that mechanical interface, tactile feedback. And whenever there is for example, if the user feels sad, that feedback has to be intimated to the system. If he feels happy, or if he is afraid of something, if in healthcare, for example, if a children or if a patient is afraid of particular thing, if he has some psychologically thinking about something which is depressed, that feeling, his depressed feeling should also be intimated to the system. If he is happy and excited, that feel of excitement should be realized, and that should be sent to the system, so that accordingly the next action can be planned by the system, right? So the human interacts. This is the basic architecture of a medical VR system. Not only medical, it's a general any VR system, right? So now we will see some simple example of how these AR VR systems are used in healthcare. Learning autonomy. Mixed reality means When AR and VR are combined, then it is called as mixed reality. Okay. So medical students continuously learn. It is highly useful in medical colleges where, see, this kind of situation. For example, if medical professor wants to teach his student, so how the anatomy of human body looks like. So he can actually see, again, there are 206 to 270 bone names. For every bone in our body, there is a name. And the student has to remember all the names. And there are 79 organs with all their counterparts. It is very difficult to learn everything in book, right? So if he visually sees what is actually inside the human body, then it would be better for understanding. It's extremely difficult for students to visualize what he studies in the book or what the professor teaches. And again, it is also difficult to take the human body, post-mortem the body, and see how exactly all the parts look like and works, right? But this can be easily demonstrated in this system. So it eases the process of learning anatomy, and it not only improves the learning curve, but the general education is also improved, right? And AR in hospital navigation. In a hospital, for example, in a multi-speciality hospital, if the patient is located at somewhere else, is located at operation theater, right? So if the nurse is going somewhere, or if the patient is moved from one intensive care unit to the room, okay, for example, there is a movement in something, and the nurses or doctors can use this navigation facility. We are using Google Maps, no? Similarly, this AR map, it helps nurses quickly find the right room and equipment in an emergency situation. For example, there is an urgent need for ECG device. It is located in some room, means this navigation facility app can help you to easily locate the device, right? And also, if the room, for example, if there are so many rooms in a multi-specialty hospital, obviously there will be hundreds of rooms, right? So it will take the nurse or doctor or whoever may be, any medical people to the right room by having look at this navigation map. Okay, it can be distributed locally to help patients also. Even patients also can use this application to go to the room. For example, if you are into the hospital, and normally they will say, okay, go to this doctor, so meet this doctor, only the appointment will be given. So you have to appropriately locate the room, the doctor's room. So if you are not having knowledge about the entire hospital infrastructure, we'll find difficult, right? So even in this situation, it will help the patients. And even hearing aid is also allowed. Okay, so for example, if we are going straight, okay, go straight, turn left, move up. So likewise, it will help the patients even with hearing difficulties also, right? And blind people, if they can't see, again they can go, okay, move 100 meters straight, turn right, there is a step ahead, so move step forward, there are 5 steps. Likewise, these aid facilities are also helpful. And corridors, okay, so that means you can traverse through the hospital via maps, AR maps. It will show you how exactly the room look like, how the corridor looks like, how you have to traverse, all those things. And leveraging AR for patient education. Uh, it can be used for education in medical colleges. That's one case. Here, it enhances medical services, making them much friendlier and trustworthy among people. So, for example, if a doctor is giving medicine, the patient may sometimes feel afraid. Okay, so what happens if we have this medicine? For example, if the doctor is asking you to undergo a surgery, again the patient may be afraid. Okay, so do I need to have a surgery for this situation, for this problem? Is it a fracture? Means how the plate will be fixed. If he is afraid or fearful of something, then the doctor can show a demonstration of, okay, so if the plate is fixed in this particular bone, so it will not affect your normal activities. Likewise, the trustiness can be developed. Okay, the patient can now develop trust on the doctor. Okay, so if this treatment is done for me, no problem, it will not harm my body. So likewise, he can gain confidence on the particular treatment and also the doctor, right? So the doctors can not only use that information to teach their interns, but also educate their patients during medical consultations and sessions. So I think in some hospitals, for example, in ortho hospitals or dental hospitals, you can see the models. Okay, in other hospitals I don't see, but mostly in ortho hospitals, for example, they will have the model of bones, the spinal cord or bone or something. Even in dental hospitals, you can see the structure of our mouth and teeth, so that they can show the patients, okay, so in this place your part is damaged, your nerve is damaged. So likewise, the doctors can use this to educate the patients, right? So this is a physical model, but creating or building physical model for every part is difficult. So if he's having an AR system, he can practically demonstrate how all the activities can be performed, right? So doctors will, and obviously it will develop the trust. It helps patients better understand their problems and also approach their health in a much more responsible way. So if the patient has confidence on the treatment and the doctor, obviously his approach or his activities will be improved, right? So he will, for example, if the doctor is asking you to do a physiotherapy exercise daily morning, and if he has practically demonstrated that, okay, if you are daily stretching your legs for 20 times, this would be set, this muscle would be set, this. So likewise, so again, obviously he will try to practice his exercise daily and he will get cure soon, right? And using AR for vein detection, this is a common case. Normally when we go to hospital, sometimes finding of vein for injecting is very difficult, right? They use for blood sample, for taking blood samples, or for even injecting glucose or whatever it may be. Finding veins is not easy all the times. For example, if it's a child, so the child will cry for a long time if the nurse keeps on trying to search the veins, or even if it is a old person. Again, it's very difficult, right? Even this problem I have faced with my father when he was undergoing cancer treatment. So daily, every week, we will be going for chemotherapy and all those treatments. And normally, every day, for every week, 2 to 3 days, they'll be injecting drips. So for that, veins would have already drained out, and it's very difficult for the nurses to find the veins. But see, using this AR/VR technology, it is very easy to find the vein, and the nurses can easily identify the particular vein and inject. So it will help reduce the pain of the patients and also the burden of the nurses or doctors. There are many devices, but in this case, it's a vein detector. It is portable also. So see, it uses just laser light interaction with hemoglobin molecule and spectroscopic techniques. There are many techniques. Okay, every device use different techniques, but normally this is how the veins can be identified. By using this technology, the veins are highlighted in a different color so that the medicines can be injected clearly, and it projects a high resolution image onto the highlighted area, and doctors can see clearly the veins. It's safe, so it doesn't harm anything, it doesn't have any radiations or anything else, so it can help nurses to detect the barely noticeable veins of patients. And AR clothes in healthcare, I think this is a new problem, sorry, this is a new feature. AR clothes can also be designed. For example, if the medical professor wants to teach the anatomy of a particular patient or human body, he can use the demonstration of the body parts in the t-shirts. See how easily it can be demonstrated. For example, if there is a skeleton here, see our chest part, how the intestine looks like, how the hearts look like. So all those things can be demonstrated in the t-shirts itself. So that whenever they are interacting and moving around in their university or college, they can see the t-shirts, and whenever something is caught in their eyes, they get a clear understanding of the organs. It's a stylish and cool way of learning, right, of the systems. T-shirt has a printed code which is recognized by an AR application. So when somebody sees in a normal eye, it cannot be understood. But when we use an AR application, it can be clearly understood. And it also creates fun. That means funny way of learning the human anatomy, of exploring realistic looking organs on a real person. It is used for anatomy learning. It's very friendly, right? To learn biology. Even if you are teaching biology in schools or colleges, even in schools we can use this for easy demonstration. It increases health awareness of health can be improved, and it supports various healthcare movements which promote self-help medical courses or medical services, right? And again, it can be used for marketing and advertising in healthcare. So one second, I'll just connect to the charger. Okay, sorry for the break. And it is used for marketing and advertising in healthcare. For example, if a medical person, okay, so if he is going to demonstrate his product, medical representative is going to a doctor and he wants to sell his product. He can explain or he can demonstrate using AR VR system to show how the medicine or the particular device will work in a human body. For example, see, even the medicine, for example, if you are taking a tablet for fever or cold, so like this, so like shown in this example, he can see, okay, this can be reduced, the headache can be reduced, the throat infection can be reduced, and the lungs can be cleared. So likewise, so what are the parts which will be affected by this particular medicine, and how this medicine will traverse, so how it will be flown in the body and helps curing of the particular problem. So everything can be demonstrated to the doctors by the pharmaceutical companies, and also by the doctors or the medical representatives to the patients. Even if patients is afraid of taking some treatments, they can clearly show, they can demonstrate to the patients that, okay, if you take this medicine, these are the things that will happen and it will not harm anything. Okay, so it's the best choice for the sales representative. Normally sales representatives can use this app to make a quick emotionally bound wow effect. That means the doctors can clearly see, okay, so if this device is used, it can just this task in a minute. So likewise, it can be used for marketing their products also. It shows pre-built flow animations. The animation something can also be seen. Okay, for example, if this device is seen here, so it will come here, and from this it will operate, it will rotate here, it will come here. The flow of activities and the device's parts, everything can also be seen, right? How particular medicine works in a human body. It displays animations, and we can just install this in your mobile device. It can be your mobile phone or anything, okay? And introduce different products to your audience. So we can customize our devices or medicines based on the target audience. So this is again another application area for AR. I think we have never thought about these things, right? AR clothes in healthcare. And even only when I was preparing for this presentation, I came to know, so these are used in clothes and also clothes and marketing. And there are many devices, right? So AR VR technology devices were costly previously, but nowadays they are developing more affordable, scalable and accessible devices. See, Samsung, Facebook, there are many devices, your Google that glasses, and also your devices, right? So headphones. So there are many devices which are affordable now and you can buy if you want. It is not only related to entertainment or something. Previously they were used for entertainment during gaming and all, but nowadays it is used to treat patients. It has gained much importance in healthcare for treating physical and also psychological problems of the patients, and also to prevent diseases before occurring by helping in our daily day-to-day activities. See, this was just an example of how these VR systems were used to reduce the stress of the people who have faced actually earthquake. Okay, in 2017 there was a huge earthquake in Mexico City, and people were so much stressed after that. That means their houses, their properties, everything were lost out of that earthquake, and obviously they were thriving for their living, right? So in that situation, this VR system, see, the people who were affected by that earthquake were given this VR glasses and the devices, and the stress of them, their physical, mental stress were reduced to some extent. So it creates a feeling that, okay, they are okay now, they are okay now, right? And academic research has indicated that there are so many journal papers published on AR VR now, and it shows as that it is on boom. That means many technologies are moving or being integrated with AR VR technologies for improving our daily activities and our standard of living. And almost 270, this is an approximate only, 270 medical VR AR companies are currently working and developing new devices, and commonly there are 20 clinical sectors which are using this. Okay, so first one, phobias means we have different fears, right? So fear of height, fear of water. I think in many movies you would have seen this phobias. So treatment of these phobias can also be done by using these systems. So that if a particular child or a person is afraid of water, he can immerse in a situation where water will give more pleasant experience to him, so that he get rid of that, right? Next, stress management or relaxation. So if you are highly stressed after a complete day's work, then you can use the system to just relax yourself. If you are stressed, this system will play a good music, pleasant music. Or if you are happy, he just make the system just plays accordingly. Okay. So if you are afraid, it will alert your family members. So the stress management can also be done. Surgical training. So next slides you will see how surgical trainings can be planned and done. Physical rehabilitation and pain and difficult procedure management. So if you have pain and difficult operations or procedures, that can also be managed. Exercise. Okay, so it will show you what are the physical exercise that we have to do in our daily routines, or even in our if we have some problems, how we can use these applications to treat ourselves. Next, cognitive rehabilitation, optical rehabilitation, that means eyesight. When you have the power problem or eyesight problem, then how to recover from that. Next, addictions. Again, this is important. If some person have drug addiction or some kind of addiction, so if, for example, a drug addicted person will feel very disturbed if he doesn't have the drug at that particular interval, right? So if he is treated, he will be completely immersed in a virtual reality environment, so that he get detached from the real world and he will forget the thoughts of the drugs, so that it improves the rehabilitation. That means he can easily come out of that addiction. So this is also a good application. And neuropsychological assessments. So neurological and psychological assessment can be done, and based on the assessment, The treatments can be decided. Cognitive training wellness. And again, what is meant by cognitive? Cognitive means human thinking, brain. So brain thinks, right? That intelligence. So that intelligence, memory power, for example, memory power, ability to recall something. So ability to store all those things related. So there are the cognitive human brain intelligence. Okay, that can be improved. And sports medicine. Okay, so when persons are playing sports or games, obviously there are some medicines required for them that can be used. Disability solutions. If a person is having disability in hand or legs or hearing aid, blind people, okay, so they can be useful. Speech therapy, this is very much important again. So if a person is having speech difficulty, if he can't speak, by creating virtually environment that okay, you speak, you open your voice here, and that feel of excitement obviously induces some hormones or something to speak more, so that their speech capability can be improved. And autism spectrum disorder, the next session ma'am will cover this. Next, mood disorders. Okay, if you are sad, if you are angry, if you are happy, sometimes some people will have their mood change very often. Okay, in the current minute they will be happy, next minute if you go they will be very angry, you can't even speak a single word. This situation we will face very commonly, right? Even in our home or in your workplace, this is very common. The change in mood disorders can be diagnosed accurately using these ARVR systems, and our solution can also be given by this system also. Okay, so the system itself will provide solution for our mood changes. Then patient education, preventive health, so ADHD, senior care. So all these are very common examples, right? Okay, over 30 years of academic, more than 3,000 studies have demonstrated that VR can improve behaviors, attitudes, and health. So again, it's not only used to improve physical health, it also improves the mental health and psychological health. So you are giving treatment, you are physically treating some parts, for example heart or lungs, or it may be a simple fracture, but if the patient is all the time afraid of that treatment, the pain cannot go, right? So your mental health has to coordinate with your physical health, so only then the patient can get rid of their problems very soon. So So these are again some common applications. It improves the disease prevention and wellness of the people. Objective assessments. So it's nothing but assessment means evaluating something, right? So objectively evaluate something. Okay, for example, if he's having an eyesight problem, so objectively, accurately, we can evaluate. Okay, this is the area to be concentrated. This is the place where there is a tumor. So you have to operate on this. Even sometimes, if you are doing minor surgery or major surgery, some minor changes may cause large problems. Okay, and that may cause a lifelong problem for the patient. So we should be very careful in identifying the parts. Accordingly we have to treat. Next, functional training. The internal functionalities of the patients can be clearly understood and demonstrated for training purpose. And improved interventions, that means interactiveness, it can have an interactive session. And facilitate adherence and distributed care delivery. The patient care can be distributed. For example, if you have heart problem, you have pressure problems in pressure, neurological problem, uh, problem, so and everything has to be distributedly taken care of, right? So this system will obviously take care of all those things and alert the right person. Madam or Anita Mary Johnson, madam. Can you unmute your mic, madam? Anita Mary Johnson, madam.
Ma'am, I'll inform over phone.
Sir, shall I continue? Or
Ma'am, I'll inform through phone. No problem. You may continue.
okay, okay, okay.
Okay.
Okay, next it can be used for medical training. So in the previous slides, we have just seen overview. In this slide, we are seeing in detail how it can be used for training, right? So first, clinical skill training. So clinical skill training means clinical skill actually involves all those things where you are talking to patient doctor consultation, or giving medicine or treating. Everything is included under clinical skill. So if in a medical college or university, the professor wants to teach all those things, it can be the training can be done clearly. And surgical skill training. Okay, for example, all the time the professor cannot teach the student with the physical patient. Sometimes the surgery has to be demonstrated. In such situation, we can use these systems. And interpersonal skill training. Okay, for example, if we are working in a team, imagine in a situation where 10 people are working in a team, and if somebody is shouting, if one person in a team is shouting, we can identify or we can assess the reaction of everybody others in the team who is listening, and accordingly we can change the situation. So the interpersonal skill, so the listening, so whether if I'm talking, if the other person is listening to me or not, if he is not listening, or if he is eagerly listening, so that decision has to be changed, right? So and we can use equipments and tools. For example, if we are going to remove a tumor from a particular part, for example heart surgery, open heart surgery, the use of equipments and tools can be demonstrated to students. So how these devices can be used, how it should be put inside, so how it should be operating, or how it should remove the tumor, or like that. And team training, normally team training is done. That means if a patient is admitted in an emergency ward, so how, obviously in an emergency many people have to work together to treat that emergency situation, right? So that kind of thing, surgical team. And emergency response training and rehearsal. Rehearsal can also be created virtually using this system. And facilitate empathy. Empathy can be improved. So actually to achieve all these or any medical healthcare improvement, the first thing that should be felt on the patient side or doctor side is empathy. Only if empathy is felt in the heart of anybody, other things will happen smoothly, right? And surgical training. See, so for example, if a knee replacement is done, a demonstration of this can be clearly seen, and the patient or the students, the medical students can clearly understand, oh, so this is how the knee will look like if I have a knee replacement strategy. So the surgery, how the surgery can take place, and what are the effects of surgical procedures can also be demonstrated, and the confidence can be built on the patients. Next, surgical procedure training, right? So the same case here. See how a virtually an environment can be created and it can be demonstrated. to the patients and also to the students. Okay, so this is how the surgery should be done. Next, medical devices training. For example, if there is a new medical device, it can be used to demonstrate to the medical students. Okay, this device should be used. For example, if I want to fix a plate in a fractured leg, okay, so how your device should be used to fix that plate. Okay, if you want to perform laser surgery, okay, so how the laser rays should be passed. Okay, so all those things. And even virtual patients can be used for clinical skill training. If you want to give training for clinical skill, that means to improve the interaction. Okay, if a patient comes and sit in front of you, how you should treat your patient, how you should start your discussion, how you should inquire about the patient's problem. If the patient reacts like this, what should be your next reaction? That means patient doctor consultation can also be virtually demonstrated. Okay, so this would be useful in psychological mental health treatment, right? And teamwork training. If a patient is admitted with emergency situation, so how each people should coordinate with each other. What is the first thing to be done? What is the emergency remedy? Next, after this, what be done? So all those things can be trained or demonstrated clearly. Anatomy and physiology training. So see how this is done. So the parts, everything can be seen in front of you so that you can get a real feel of how these parts can look like. You can feel when you touch this part, how will you actually feel, right? So response to the acute shortage of human cadavers, repetitive training and self-study. You can, if the part is virtually created, you can see it again and again, you can repeatedly get trained, right? Or you can study by yourself. And more detailed examination of micro features of organs and tissues. See if, okay, this is the heart, means if this is in front of you, you can clearly see its outer parts, inner parts, your functionalities, inner functionalities, everything can be seen clearly. Integration of text, video and other media. So to demonstrate all those things in AR systems, we can have text. That means when you touch this, the messages can be displayed. Okay, when the professor is teaching, so his voice is converted into text and it is displayed below. Okay, then video can be demonstrated. Likewise, audio, anything can be demonstrated, right? And it can be used in pre-operative planning, and we can have image guided surgery. Okay, so the doctor, see, so he can first try before performing operation. He can try, okay, so if I am fixing a plate here, if I am moving my device here and I want to fix something here, okay, so he can try to plan something in advance, right? So if I move here, okay, there is a clot here, so I cannot move by this side, so I have to follow the alternative path and I can change my decision, right? So all those things are very helpful, because practically trying out something on trial and error will not work for human body. So we have to precisely plan in advance and then operate on the patients, right? Next, it can be used in diagnostic assessments, diagnosis of patient's condition, right? Medical image review. For example, if you have a scan image, if you have taken an X-ray or MRI scan or CT scan, if a patient is having cancer and if you are wrongly diagnosing, okay, this tumor size is only 5 mm, but actually only if it is greater than 10 mm, it can be diagnosed as cancer. Means if your device has not properly shown, or if you have miscalculated something, obviously the entire cancer treatment would have gone wrong, right? It would cost the lives of patients. So it is very useful. Medical image review, maybe scan image or anything. Neuropsychological assessments. So this nerve is coming here. Okay, due to this nerve blockage, he is having this psychological problem. And activities of daily living assessments. Okay, daily, when I wake up early in the morning, I'll be very happy and I will be fresh throughout the day. If I'm waking up at 10 o'clock in the morning, that day I'm not normal, I'm not active. So that kind of daily life assessments can also be made. Okay, if I exercise daily for half an hour in the morning and evening, my body parts, everything works perfectly. If I'm not exercising, if I'm having a junk food, what happens inside my body? Right? If I sit in the laptop or system for 2 to 3 hours, what will happen? Right? So all those daily living assessments. Next, physical medicine and behavioral medicine. That means psychological things can be done. Next, cognitive assessment. New approaches are being developed for cognitive assessment. Cognitive means our intelligence, right? So it mitigates traditional paper and subjective evaluations to a sophisticated level. So previously, okay, do you have fever? Okay, do you feel stressed? The doctor will ask a series of questions and he will note down, right? Okay, so if you have fever, so what is the medicine that you have taken? So after in the morning, how will you feel? So after eating, how will you feel? So if you are having in cold climate, so likewise many questions. So diagnostic process is very difficult, right? Traditionally, you have to use paper and pen to record all those things and finally evaluate. But here, everything will be done, all assessment will be done by the system itself. So it will report you the diagnosis result also. Okay, this person is affected with this problem. You can just choose the therapy, right? So it provides robust assessments that can challenge cognitive skills. Physical problem we can easily diagnose. Psychological problem is very difficult to assess, right? So in such situations, robust means even if that is going wrong, you can clearly and accurately identify what is the problem. Okay. And you have something called as biomarkers. Do you know what is biomarker? Anybody has the idea of the term biomarker? Yes, biomarker is nothing but we have genes, right? So our human body is composed of 23 pairs of chromosomes, and each chromosome has genes, right? So that gene structure, for example, if a patient is diagnosed with cancer, there are some genes which contribute to the development of cancer cells. If the cells are normal, their gene behavior is different. If the gene is cancerous, that behavior is different, right? So the genes which contribute to particular disease or disorder have to be identified. They are called as gene biomarkers. Okay, we have to identify the particular genes which contribute. For example, if the patient is having thyroid problem, okay, so how a patient gets thyroid? Due to some hormonal problem, right? So if the thyroid gland is over secreting or under secreting their secretions, obviously there is a hypothyroid or hyperthyroid. But how will you identify? In thyroid gland there will be many genes, right? So you have to identify, you have to pinpoint why or which gene contributes to over secretion of my thyroid, right? So that has to be identified. For example, if the patient has overweight, okay, so if he is overweight, so what are the genes which have contributed to this overweight? Sugar. Okay, what is the problem? What is the gene which have contributed to over secretion of insulin or whatever it may be, right? That biogenes have to be clearly marked and identified. Only then we can treat it, the particular gene. Instead of treating all the genes inside the human body, we can, if we have particularly identified this gene is problem, then we can easily treat, right? So collecting and analyzing emotional and physical responses. So in such cases, if a person is angry, some genes will be activated, right? So and some secretions, some glands will secrete. So we have to identify that and reduce its operation or increase its speed, right? Whatever it may be. And improved cognitive function assessment at primary care level. Okay, so the basic level, if you're having fever or just you're stressed, using air and smartphone sensors, you can have your, this is actually one application, Altoida was one application which senses your daily activities. Okay, that means primary care level. Okay, 10 minutes test. So just within 10 minutes, you can accurately diagnose what is your problem, what is your current body situation, right? So it can recognize 250 features, and it can be demonstrated in 3D views also to the doctors. For example, if you have undergone bypass surgery, you are in home. Your doctor can see your conditions, health conditions, by having common interaction. Okay, using AR/VR system, your body condition, your parts, everything can be seen by the doctor, and he can provide you suggestions. And this mainly the mental and behavioral health problems can be uh, cured using virtual environments. That means more than augmented reality, virtual reality devices are used here. They can use, say for example, if they are stressed, okay, so we can use this glass to reduce their stress, right? So post traumatic stress disorder, okay, so after some surgery or even after delivering a baby, mothers will normally have some stress associated. Okay, so their lack of sleep, their physical pain, everything can create more stress. So after this operations or whatever it may be, how the stress can be reduced? There are some devices, VR devices, which uses mechanisms to solve their stress problems. Generalized anxiety disorder, okay, next social anxiety disorder. So these are common problems, right? Next, depression, mild cognitive impairment, autism spectrum disorder, so ADHD, all these mental and behavioral health problems can be reduced to maximum extent, not completely we cannot remove, but to the extent possible we can treat them. The another generalized anxiety disorder, phobias, obsessive compulsive disorder, anger management, eating disorders. See, even if some person is having eating disorders, for example, they will have meals every 2 hours, or they will have junk foods, they will have a tendency to have more chocolates or more sweets. So how to do this? And there are many devices, or there are many problems which can be cured by this VR devices. And virtual humans, see how this is again another example, interesting one, where we can create virtual humans. Okay, if you are a new doctor, that means you have come out of a medical college, now you have fear of treating patients, how to deal with patients. In such situations, you can create a virtual patient and you can talk to the patient. You can imagine that if you are sitting in front of a new patient, how you will behave and how he will react. That virtual humans can be reacted, the feelings can be recorded in an interactive way, right? So for training, virtual humans can be created for training, confidential interaction, and even telemedicine support, right? So even telemedicine is now common now, right? So in COVID-19 situation, many people have opted for telemedicine out of the fear to go to hospitals, right? Smart avatar with virtual voice, image, and mannerisms via AI. So it will behave, this virtual humans will behave exactly how the humans behave, okay? And this VR for pain distraction. If a patient is having so much pain after a surgery, he can use this VR device headset to get distracted from that pain. Okay, so if you are painful, normally what we do, we'll try to distract from the pain, and if we are completely immersed into a different world, we will forget this pain and think our thoughts will be on something else, right? So in interactive virtual environments, it reduces pain as much as 44% during the most painful procedures. For example, burn wound. If a person is having burn, okay, so and when we are treating that burns or wounds, it will be very painful. And if the patient is given this VR headset, and we are doing, the doctor is doing the surgery here or the treatment here, obviously the pain feeling would be reduced, and it diverts patient attention away from that feel, right? Actually, this is called as selective attention theory. and decreases pain related brain activity. Okay, so if the feel of pain is more, obviously he will feel more stressed, he will cry, he will get angry, the brain activities will be changed, right? That can also be reduced, and it reduces need for anesthesia and opioid medication. And normally when we are treating large pains or painful wounds, they will give anesthesia, right? If they are removing your nail or doing something in your fingers or something, obviously anesthesia would be given. And there are many cases where if the dosage of anesthesia is little bit high, many patients have died. I have heard so many patients died out of high dosage of anesthesia. Okay, and again, using these VR systems, you can distract the patients psychologically so that their need of anesthesia can be reduced to a great extent. And no pharmacological side effects, right? If you are giving anesthesia or if you are giving some pain relief tablets or something, that may cause sometimes side effects. But when we are using VR systems, no side effects, no medicine is given, we can avoid those complications rising out of the medicines, right? And it can be used in portable telemedicine platform. And you are in your home now, and doctors or a particular doctor or team of doctors can sit in their hospital, and they can evaluate you. So your body part, your heart operation, your lung operation, your brain activities, everything can be seen from the doctor's place itself, and over the phone, over your mobile phone or something, that telemedicine concept, he can provide suggestions. And here again, so as I have already seen, so the virtual patients can be seen, and it helps to evaluate for telemedicine support. And neuroscience of how VR promotes behavior change. See, actually, this is our human brain. This VR system scans our human brain, and it can clearly demonstrate our behavioral change. Okay, so this nerve is affected, so he is always under fear. Some persons will be afraid of everything, right? So afraid of talking, afraid of walking, afraid of running. So what is the basic reason of this fear? So likewise, any behavioral change. If some child is overactive, some will be very inactive. So what are the causes for that? Okay, our brain's activities, cognitive changes or cognitive factors which causes our behavioral change can be understood. It can activate neuroplastic change. Neuroplastic means using neurology, the plastic surgery and all are done, no? So likewise, we can reward systems means we give input, we see the reaction, based on the feedback or output, we accordingly change our next thing. That means reinforcement learning kind of thing. Okay, based on the feedback, we choose our next sequence of action, and it shorten the reward feedback loop. Okay, so we can have a demo of it actually before our actual implementation. So the practical procedure time can be reduced, and the complexities can also be reduced. And leverage minor neuron systems. And one more thing, this is again a funny thing. Normally in many mobile applications also we have, if we give our photo, it will change our photo to have a look of how we will be after 10 years, after 20 years, or at the age of 80, how we actually look like. If we give our photo taken at the age of 10, we can have a look of how we will be at the age of 60 or 70. You know, even though this is funny, but this has some importance, this has some significance. If the person is having feel of, okay, at the age of 50 I will look like this, means I would be having many health problems, I will be tired, I cannot run, so that means I cannot earn much. Okay, so likewise, based on the look that is created out of the system, he can make some diagnosis, he can make self assessment. And then see, there was a study conducted, and all the participants who interacted with this future self. This is called as future self. That means in future how we look like. By creating our future images, the participants who invested put more than twice as much money into retirement amount. Even though this looks funny, this is actually happened. Okay, so with the fear that, okay, so after 60 years I will be looking like this, I cannot earn money. So what will, if I have this health problem, where can I go for money? So they have invested more money on retirement amount. See how precisely we have to use our data. Every analysis has some consequences and that has to be processed and used for decision making. And these interactive or immersive systems can be used for active involvement. Okay, so these are the benefits, these are the additive features of your AR systems. So here it provides patients with immersive experience that make them more involved in the care. Okay, they feel more involved, active involvement. The patients are also actively involved in the process. Next, feedback. Good feedback or immediate feedback can be received, and it is reinforced by direct, immediate and relevant feedback that reinforces the positive behavior. Okay, so based on the feedback, if a device is injected into our body and if the patient feels disturbed, he reacts. That feedback is automatically and immediately received by the doctor and he takes the device out of that position, right? And it is engaging and motivating, gives patients something to control and can provide immediate rewards. Next, social connections. Social connections can also be improved, social resilience and cost effective, right? So face to face contact, when we go to hospital and do all those things, it would be costly. Rather we can do everything with the help of AI systems. The cost can be reduced. Even though these devices are costlier now, it is coming down. So in future, definitely this will rule our entire healthcare facilities. And there are some challenges, right? So rapid evolution. So these AR/VR systems are rapidly evolving and there are some fears. Okay, so what will happen if we go like this? What will happen? What will not happen? That fear of obsolescence is also there. And next, which technology to use? That is the main thing. So the technologies that are required for AR/VR systems are not available in our day-to-day activities. We have to purchase explicit devices that support those technologies. Like whether we can use mobile device or whether I have to use PC, laptop, or I have to do all in one. Okay, so which technology or tool or language I have to use? For example, I am going to create an AR system. Okay, I am going to propose or manufacture a new device for monitoring healthcare of a particular patient. So which device I should develop the software and I should install it in which software, mobile or laptop? Okay, so that kind of confusions are there. These are the challenges in technologies, right? And which platform will it prevail? And graphics based, should I use animation or should I give just text or audio or 360 video? That means 2D video is enough for this situation, or 3D video is required for this situation. Likewise, you have to think, right? And there is no standard available, so everybody is trying on their own. And concerns over infrastructure, and there are many infrastructure difficulties. Where should I mount this device? Where should I carry? So how large it is, how small it is, and lack of IT support, right? So programming languages or software side, so that IT support is also low nowadays. So these are the common challenges in technology aspect. And these are some research gaps. I'm showing it to you to get some ideas and take up your research works, future research works, right? So available research varies by condition treated. So even though many journal papers have been published, their research works are mainly based on their own conditions. Okay, for example, if they have taken an autism case, the entire paper demonstration explanation would be based only for the autism patient. Okay, for heart patient means only that will be explaining about heart patient. So almost all the research works were based on the particular case study that they have taken, right? So that would be difficult to imagine if this technology or if the methodology that they have proposed for autism children will work for obesity children, right? So that kind of thing is lacking here. So you have to, so here there is a research gap to propose some generic purpose technologies which can be suitably used for all the problems, and lack of randomized controlled trials. Control trials means these are clinical terms, medical terms. Before doing anything, we have to conduct trials, no? So that in a controlled environment. So that trials is insufficient. We cannot have a trial. For example, if some company is, that Reddy's laboratory is developing vaccine for COVID, before introducing that medicine into the market, they have to conduct so many tests, right? But the facility, the people, or the resources for conducting the trades is again insufficient sometimes. In such situations, how we should do our tasks. Next, population specific studies. And again, if a researcher has done some research for people in US, the same result would not have been obtained in India, because the climatic conditions, the people body conditions in US is different from that of India. So we have to conduct different studies for different kinds of people, and obviously the devices should also be customizable, right? So all the devices do not actually work in the same way in all the places, right? And obsolete platforms and equipments, these are also insufficient, and this is also a good area where you can take up good research. And small sample sizes. So we have only limited resources in this AR/VR systems, and with this limited facilities, we can test or we can treat only limited people, right? Because the cost of these devices is costly. Only some hospitals have these devices, so that it can treat only limited patients. And it would be better if somebody develops low cost, affordable devices which performs all these activities. Definitely, it would be a very helpful solution for all the people involved, for the entire society, the doctors, nurses, medical practitioners, the common people, right? And the products need to be aligned with, we have to do full practices, we have to give more knowledge, awareness about these technologies to the people and to attract new patients. Okay, and evidence based treatments are already available. Okay, so we have done this, we have implemented this system for this patient, so he has recovered well. Likewise, evidence should be created and it should be demonstrated clearly to the patient so that they gain more confidence on the system. And again, we have to identify and analyze what is the financial and time benefit, right? So if I do this operation, traditionally, how long it will take, how much cost is involved for this treatment. If I opt for AR based treatment, so how much amount I can save, how fast I can recover from my problem. Next, does it interfere with the clinical flow? These are some questions to be asked when the healthcare solutions are being developed, right? And these are some limitations. As we have seen, initial cost is high, size of software is also a problem, locomotion sickness, that means traversing, weight of devices is also high sometimes, and it lacks vision of the surroundings. These limitations are just given to have new ideas in your mind. Okay, and potential addiction, when we get into the system, obviously sometimes we get addicted to the system and all. Nowadays we are more addicted to mobile phones, right? So in previous days we don't use mobile phones for normally. In current world, whenever we have some free time, when we are waiting for a bus in a bus stop, or when somebody is not talking, even if you are bored in a class, you'll just take mobile phones and search for something, right? So that addiction kind of thing is a problem, and that has to be limited. And graphical limits, and there are some chances of potential eye damage if we overdo that. Otherwise it's not a problem. Okay, and that's all about AR VR in healthcare. If you have any doubt, you can just ask me.
Thank you, ma'am. Participants, if you have any queries, kindly post in your chat box. Participants, if you have any queries, kindly post in the chat box. Ma'am will answer to your queries.
No queries?
Yes, ma'am.
I
There
have
is no
just
query.
okay, sir. I have just post some basic insights of AR VR in healthcare. It's up to you to use this knowledge on your future research works. Yes, all our faculty members, I think it can help you to some extent. And thank you all, thank you organizers, and thank you for all the participants. Sure.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
For thank you, ma'am,
Nice
for
presentation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Jabin, madam. Thank you, madam.
Yeah, Javeen Begum. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice, ma'am. Nice presentation. More informative session, ma'am. And then
Thank you,
even
ma'am.
I hope it will be very helpful for the researchers and as well as academicians also because it is an emerging area. And
Yes,
then
ma'am.
also I am proud to say that we got a modro and for graphics only, ma'am. Virtual reality and augmented reality, and we are planning for
Okay,
implementing
ma'am.
a setup, ma'am. We got
Okay, ma'am.
nearly 11.5 lakhs of sanction from AECT, ma'am. So most
Okay,
probably
ma'am.
we are
Okay, ma'am.
implementing, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Very good. Very good. Congratulations for setting up this lab, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Definitely, this will provide new solutions. This is a emerging area which can help
Yes, sure,
almost
sure.
all domains, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Nice presentation, ma'am. Thank you very much, Dave, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all.
Nice presentation. The last 1.5 hours, we have learned with some of the biggest names in the medical industries to create a range of VR experiences. We have learned the use of VR and AR in the healthcare sector and continue to be passionate and impressed by the different applications. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
thank you, ma'am. It was a very informative session for all the faculties. We once again thank you for your valuable inputs, ma'am. Participants can join the next session by 11:15 a.m.